Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. How are you guys doing today? I hope you guys are doing well. Today guys, I'll be checking out this interesting video from Sky News Australia, and it's titled MSNBC slammed for claiming assassination attempt was Trump's fault. You guys, I'm excited for this, and without much ado, let's see what this video is all about.
Back to our top story, this second assassination attempt on Donald Trump, this time in Florida. Shots were fired 300 metres away at his Mar-a-Lago golf course, and it appears those shots came from the Secret Service. The former president is unharmed, and the latest up-to-date information we have is that 58-year-old Ryan Wesley Routh is the suspect. He was taken into custody after a tip-off from the public. Joining me now is US report host, I should say, James. James, been quite a morning. This is now a second attempt on Donald Trump's life, this time in Florida in very different circumstances. And this is going to change what the next 57 days look like. How can he campaign?
Well, I mean, clearly he can't play a round of golf without having somebody trying to take a shot at him. Campaigning, again, is a whole nother matter entirely. Look, it's great that tragedy was averted here, but, I think we need to look very closely at what this fellow Routh was all about. Now, I've seen an awful lot of unconfirmed social media reports, but his Twitter account or his X account still appears to be live that suggest he had all sorts of, left-wing political affiliations, was tweeting things about democracy being on the ballot, which, of course, is a phrase that we hear from the Democrats all the time. I think that, it's bizarre because we keep hearing this call on Trump to tone down rhetoric, and yet it's Democrat rhetoric that so often, not just in these cases, but, recent history, have shown to inspire people to violence.
Okay, before we get to that, I just want to bring up this photo we have now of the suspect. This has just come through. This is being reported in the New York Post, and this is the man that police have in custody. So, this is a face to the name of this 58-year-old Ryan Wesley Routh. Yeah. So there you have it. James, I want to talk about rhetoric for a moment.
Yeah.
Do you think rhetoric from the Democrats leads to this incitement against Donald Trump, or is it just the tone and tenor of debate in the US at the moment, which has been heading this way for quite some years?
Well, Laura, it's a really interesting question here, and I'm really loath to blame rhetoric per se for inspiring people to violent acts. People who commit violent acts, are ultimately responsible for their violent acts. I don't subscribe to, that idea that words necessarily are violence, because, of course, that leads to all sorts of things where people want to restrict speech on the basis of protecting, people from violence. But what I will say is that when it comes to political violence, the left likes to act in the United States and elsewhere like they have clean hands on this. But I mean, if anybody who lived through the 2020 riots around BLM and Antifa, know that violence is very much a feature of left-wing politics. And I know people will say, oh, well, January 6th too, and that's fine. You can say that. But what I do think is appalling is that some outlets, such as MSNBC in the U.S., have tried to somehow say that this is Trump's fault for his own rhetoric. And, this is just appalling here. The thing is, there's a lot of questions that we need answers on. One thing that I would love to know, Laura, is how did this individual, this alleged would-be assassin, and I'm saying alleged, but how did he know that the former president would be playing Trump at that time, at that place? I mean, I think there's questions that need to be answered and investigated here. I'm not suggesting a conspiracy, but I do think we need to know answers to these questions going forward.
You guys, what are your thoughts on this video? I totally agree with him. A lot of questions needs to be asked, because someone must have tipped the man off that Donald Trump would be playing golf right there at that particular time. But let me know what you guys think about this. I didn't want to hear your thoughts about this one, and I'm so glad that Donald Trump is okay once again. And this is the second time that tried to assassinate him, and they have failed once again. And let's continue watching, you guys.
Yeah, I think so too. And often what these cases can come about, what can happen in the days where this is investigated, is that I think the Secret Service has a hell of a job ahead of them to be able to track and know all the threats against Donald Trump.
Yeah.
I mean, 58-year-old Ryan Wesley Routh, does he fit into, you know, the profile of hundreds of other people that might be upset with Donald Trump? And when you talk about rhetoric, I mean, it was just a couple of hours ago that Donald Trump tweeted, "I hate Taylor Swift." I mean, I'm not saying that's incitement, but, you know, I'm talking about the tone of things in America. The tone of political debate in America has been diabolical for years, and Trump is a part of that.
Well, sure, but I mean, you know, if we find out that this Routh fellow was a Swiftie, then, you know, maybe there's, you know, something to that tweet. But to be serious about it for a moment, though, you know, like, I just, you know, I think that we have to be really, really careful about saying that, you know, we need to be careful about our words because people might do the wrong thing. Well, people who do the wrong thing, you know, will do the wrong thing for whatever reason.
Oh, I agree with
and I
you.
would love to see it. I would love to see, look, I would love to see, Laura, I would love that, you know, we would go to revert to sort of the, you know, high-minded days of the Lincoln-Douglas debates in America. But I also remember that, you know, the tone of rhetoric in U.S. politics, I mean, go back to some of the presidential campaigns in the early 1800s, you know, they make Donald Trump look like Emily Post when it comes to polite rhetoric. So, you know, we should also have a little bit of historical perspective here.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, thinking about guys like John McCain, who, you know, was able to overcome that, and, you know, in the political debates, he kept it kind of highbrow and classy when talking about his opponent, not getting to that, you know, absolute base level. But James, before I let you go, let's talk about how this might change the campaign. I mean, Donald Trump is really defiant here. You would expect that. We didn't see a fist pump today, but I think one's just around the corner, metaphorical or physical. And he sent out a note to all of his supporters saying that he is fine. And really wanted to dial this down. But Donald Trump, being Donald Trump, he never misses an opportunity, and obviously wants this story to be something that sees millions of dollars more in donations come his way.
Well, look, I mean, that's you know, of course he wants people to know that somebody has taken a shot at him, because an awful lot of the media, I predict, will try and squelch this story, will try and, you know, squelch the stories that are starting to come out that if they are true, show that the alleged would-be shooter was somebody with strong far-left, pro-Palestine, pro-BLM, pro-Bernie Sanders type positions, just as there was a Bernie bro who tried to shoot a bunch of Republican congressmen back in, I think, 2016. You know, these stories have a way of disappearing when they don't fit the narrative. And so, obviously, Donald Trump and his supporters will be doing everything they can to make sure people know exactly what is going on here, because otherwise, you know, there's an awful lot of elements in the press that see their job right now as getting Kamala Harris elected and not and gatekeeping the truth and not telling people the truth about what's actually going on and letting them make up their own minds.
It's got to rattle him, doesn't it? I mean, a second attempt in as many months. The rules of engagement have changed with Kamala. I think we can agree that he hasn't quite got that mojo back when you look at the performance of the last debate. This has got to be affecting him and his psyche.
Well, yeah, look, I mean, you know, anybody who's getting shot at this many times, you know, is certainly, you know, I would imagine it would rattle a man. I've never been shot at myself, but the day ain't over yet. But you know, yeah, of course it would rattle him. We have seen a more defiant Trump since that debate. And, you know, if you look at some of the rallies that he's held recently in Arizona, you know, people are saying, wow, the old Trump is back. I think that 3-on-1 sort of debate performance that they had the other night just wasn't his sort of format.
Yeah, I think you're right there, James. Looking forward to talking to you again soon. Thanks so much for your time today. Appreciate you joining in.
Well, you guys, what are your thoughts on this video? We know that politics is a dirty game, but trying to murder one another is totally mind-boggling, and it's very, very disgusting of the MSNBC to blame Donald Trump. How dare they say something like that? MSNBC needs to be cancelled and it needs to be fast too. Because the narrative out there is that Trump is a threat to democracy and trying to unalive him. Is that trying to save democracy? I really want to know. And this is totally victim blaming Donald Trump because nobody knows what he's going through. Imagine 2 assassination attempts in 8 weeks. That is enough to rattle any solid man. And I don't even want to think about how this is affecting Donald Trump right now. And my prayer is that God preserves him for the American people because he's the only one that can save America. And in Donald Trump's word, fight, fight, fight. I believe it's about time that the American people stand for what is right and fight for what is right by voting rightly. What do you guys think about this second assassination attempt? Do you think is linked with the Democrats and they want Trump to be gone so bad? I would love to hear your thoughts and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye guys.